Good morning. This is your media report for Monday, April the 4th, 2016. I'm Sergeant Lori McGee, Media Relations Officer for the St. John Police Force. Since Friday morning, April 1st until today's date, police have responded to 368 calls for service. The St. John Police Force would like to hear from anyone that has any information concerning any of our calls or investigations. We can be reached at 506-648-3333, at our email, police@stjohn.ca, or you can do it anonymously through the Provincial Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477, or on their website at crimenb.ca. On Friday morning at 8:58 a.m., police responded to the Giant Tiger in Prince Edward Square Mall for a report of a theft. A female located some articles of clothing at her residence, which was stolen from the store by her 16-year-old daughter, so she returned the clothing along with her daughter, where police were called. The 16-year-old female was arrested for theft and later released to appear in court at a later date. At 10:38 a.m., a 30-year-old male was arrested at a Cedar Street residence for threats he made the previous day while speaking with his caseworker. He was also charged for a probation violation. He was held in custody for a court appearance. At 1:09 p.m., police assisted the Kodiak RCMP by arresting a 44-year-old male at a Watson Street residence for assault causing bodily harm. The accused was transported to Sussex, where the RCMP took custody of him. At 5:45 p.m., police were called to Carlton Street residence for a report of an assault. A female reported being assaulted by her boyfriend, and he damaged a phone as well. The 23-year-old male was arrested for assault and mischief. He was later released on conditions, and he will appear in court at a later date. On Friday evening at 9:14 p.m., police were called to Dooley's on Prince Edward Street for a report of an intoxicated male who threw a beer bottle off a bar and attempted to start a fight with patrons. The 22-year-old male was arrested outside for causing a disturbance and probation violation. He was later released on conditions, and he will appear in court at a later date. At 9:30 p.m., police responded to a Charlotte Street residence for a breach of the peace. A 24-year-old male was arrested for violating conditions of his release to have no contact with a female who was also present at this location. He was held for a court appearance. At 11:52 p.m., a 28-year-old female was arrested at a Broad Street residence for a breach of the peace after she was asked several times to leave the premises. She was later released. At 5:20 a.m., police were called to a Main Street residence for a report of a domestic dispute. A 57-year-old male was arrested for violation of a court order to have no contact with a female caller. He was taken into custody and held for a court appearance. On Saturday morning at 8:25 a.m., police received a call to Springworks on Thorne Avenue for a report of a theft of a vehicle. The caller reported a 2006 Ford F-250 with a plow attached, stolen sometime between March 20th and the time of the report. The incident remains under investigation. At 12:55 p.m., police conducted a motor vehicle check on King Street North. The license plates on the vehicle had been reported stolen. The 27-year-old male driver was arrested for possession of stolen property, driving while suspended, and possession of drugs, Dilaudid pills. He was taken into custody and later released on the criminal charges. He was transported to the Correctional Center for an outstanding committal warrant. At 3:05 p.m., police were called to First Avenue residence for a report of a disturbance outside. Two males aged 26 and 25, both intoxicated, were located near Matawaganish Road and taken into custody for a breach of the peace. Both were later released. On Saturday evening, police were called to a Peter Street parking lot for a report of two persons injured as a result of a motor vehicle accident, which remains under investigation. This occurred at approximately 7:30. A male aged 54 and a female aged 31 were transported to the regional hospital with serious injuries. The male's condition has since been upgraded and he is expected to be released from the hospital within the week. The female was transported to the Mountain Hospital for follow-up care. She remains in serious condition with non-life-threatening injuries. Details are very vague at this time, and police are requesting that anyone with any information about the accident, please contact police at 648-3333. At 12:19 a.m., police received a call of a possibly impaired driver. The vehicle was located and stopped on Ian Street. The 32-year-old female displayed signs of impairment and was subsequently arrested for impaired driving. She was later released to appear in court at a later date. At 2:03 a.m., police were called to the boardwalk of Market Square for a report of an intoxicated male giving security officers a difficult time. A 19-year-old male was arrested for obstruction and threats when he became uncooperative with officers and challenged them to a fight. He was later released to appear in court at a later date. At 2:16 a.m., police were in the area of O'Leary's Pub on Princess Street when they observed a security guard holding a male on the ground. It was learned that the 24-year-old male had been causing problems and assaulted a male unknown to him. The victim refused to cooperate, and the accused was arrested for breach of the peace and later released when sober. On Sunday at 2:32 p.m., police were called to Dooley's on McDonald Street for a report of an intoxicated male yelling at customers. The 53-year-old male was arrested for a breach of the peace and later released. At 10:12 p.m. last evening, police were called to a Reading Crescent residence for a report of a domestic dispute. A female reported being grabbed by her hair and face during an argument with her boyfriend. A 43-year-old male was arrested for assault and 4 outstanding theft files, along with outstanding committal warrants. He was held in custody for a court appearance. At 10:28 p.m., police responded to an Elliott Row address for a report of a robbery. A male reported parking his vehicle in a parking lot off of Elliott Row when a male, armed with a weapon, opened his passenger door. After an exchange of words, the accused made off with a small amount of money. The accused and the victim are known to one another. There were no injuries, and the incident remains under investigation with the Major Crime Unit. This concludes a media report from Monday, April 4th. Have a good day and be safe.